Hey y'all, what's good? It's your girl, Benjamin B. What you watching on TV? Well, for this video, I am on a new TV show. This is episode 5, and episode 5 is basically very short, very simple. Honestly, there are no moments that really stick out to me except for the wedding itself. This is the episode where Tiffany goes through with the wedding that she has. Remember, she's decided to wed herself. I don't think it would take going to Africa and marrying yourself to signify a life-defining decision to be more careful and more conscious. That just seems like it's a little bit much. I think that's a little bit much. Anyway, so episode 5 is where we get to see the wedding. Again, I thought it was pretty. You know, she looked gorgeous. All the ladies looked really good. The dresses were beautiful. She looked delicious in her little green. Like, you know, aesthetically, everything was on point. It just feels very, my son has a favorite word. He calls everything arbitrary. I will say that arbitrary definitely fits this situation. It's like, what are we doing here? You know what I'm saying? Like, why are we doing this? You know what I'm saying? The other important aspect to this episode was where later on that evening, they're all having dinner. They're sitting around at the dinner table. And so Shimona is the person that asks this question, right? She's the one that presents this question to the other ladies. And the question is, or not the question, it's more like a task. She charges all the ladies at the table with a task to then go around to each one of them and present an idea or a thought behind something that woman could change or do, something she could do to improve herself. Okay, so let me say this, right? I've already mentioned probably a couple episodes back, I'm not a big fan of Miss Shimona. Shimona's one of the people I could probably skip. To be fair, she would probably feel the very same way about me. You know what I'm saying? And I'm okay. I'm all right with it, right? So I already don't have a whole lot of affection for Miss Shimona, just in general. This question does nothing to help that shit. But here's what I will say on her behalf. I want to be fair about it, right? I try to be fair in all of my little assessments of people and things, right? I feel like even as undesirable as Miss Shimona comes off with the way she just seems to be super bossy. Like, she like the little girl on the playground that tell everybody what to do, so you just want to slap the shit out of her. Like, you don't hate her, but you just want her to shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? She comes off as that. However, in this instant, I don't blame her, right? Because nobody does that. Like, nobody, when was the last time you sat around in a circle with some friends of yours and was like, okay, I want everybody to tell everybody else what they need to fix about themselves? Don't nobody do that. If anything, most people are probably more consumed with the fact that the people that they sit around in circles with won't tell them what's wrong, and then they have all these, you know, harbor these bad feelings and all, you know what I mean? Like, nobody asked that question. So I say that to say that I really do feel like this was contrived by production or something, because they had wanted to add a little drama. Maybe this was their way of doing that. I don't know. But that came off as very stupid to me. And I just was like, that's weird. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's weird. Like, who does that? Why would they do that? What? You know. So anyway, so she asks the question. So the girls go around the table, and pretty generally, I won't say each and every word, but I will say pretty generally, I think for Sparkle, the feedback for her was to be a little bit more, you know, centered or grounded or have a little bit more of a backbone. I think. I could be getting it wrong. This is how little I give a fuck about that question, y'all. I'm just to be honest, right? I'm sorry, right? But that's what I heard. I could be wrong. I'm gonna have to run it back and see if I don't think I'm gonna be doing that. But anyway, so that's Sparkle. Selena. Oh, Selena. Now, Selena, I will say, is emerging as my favorite friend. And Selena's the one that's like super quiet. She is very introspective. And so what I like about Selena the most is that she seems like, I don't know. I think she would be the friend that I would probably really listen to. Mainly because she ain't the one that's like always in the front and like talking blah, 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 blah. She falls back. She probably watch and observe. And so she gets a fair assessment of all the things. So I probably would be like, yo, Selena, what you think about such and such? And she probably would give you the truth. You know what I mean? I really like her. Anyway, the feedback that was given to her was that she needs to open up a little bit more in the moment. So I guess like at points of contention, when something is going on, if there's a tense situation, maybe she tends to stay quiet. And she even said that. She said that she like kind of think her way through situations, and like in a moment where she's feeling pissed off, she likes to kind of think about it and try to figure out why she's pissed off. And then revisit the situation when the emotion itself is kind of dying down, which I think that's a pretty mature way to handle shit. Sometimes you can't do that though. So I think that was the point. It's Tiffany the one who, I think Tiffany's the one that gave her that feedback. And so I think that Tiffany's motivation in saying is that like, hey, sometimes you can wait too late. You got to say something. Sometimes you can't wait till later on. You need to address shit in the moment so that it can be taken care of in a way where you're not just completely like shit on, or you know, I don't know, just so you don't get the bad end of the deal, you know what I mean? So that was her feedback. Tiffany's feedback was that she could stand to be a little bit more expressive with her emotions. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I'm gonna tell you why. Most comedians, I'm saying this like I know a lot of comedians, which I don't know none, except for the ones that are in the mainstream media that we know from, like, you know, popular, famous comedians. But it would seem to be, especially when you listen to the content of like they stand up and shit, you know, a lot of comedians tend to go through a lot of traumatic situations. And I think that their coping mechanism is that they tell jokes about it. You know what I'm saying? They're able to present it in a way that is amusing as opposed to like, you know, traumatizing. Don't mean that they didn't experience the trauma first though. So they had to go through the trauma to see all the elements of it that make it funny. You know what I'm saying? And I believe that 1,000% with Tiff. And so it is surprising. You would think somebody that's super expressive and loud and vocal, you would just assume that they would be able to express their emotions. I guess practically people would assume that. But it does make sense to me that she probably does a lot of that because she's not wanting to really feel her emotions. You know what I'm saying? So that makes sense to me. That was her feedback, is that she could stand to express her emotions more so in a way that's not always leading up to a joke, you know, which I think is spot on. I like that little bit of information for her. So that was Tiffany's feedback. The feedback for Miss Shimona. Child, why these girls done told her she is controlling. And I think they were pretty eloquent with the way they expressed it, but Miss Shimona was not trying to hear it. She was like all in the hallway saying that she wasn't controlling, and she didn't believe she was controlling, and she just couldn't see any examples as to how they come to the conclusion that she's controlling. Like, I think she's the only one that really had the feedback like they're wrong, you know what I'm saying? I think she's the only one that reacted or responded like that, right? And so that's why I don't like her. Like, I'm just like, just, you know, just seems like life is just easier if you don't really got to deal with her, you know what I'm saying? And so that's where it leaves off. There's like this real, you know, tense situation where the girls caught her controlling, which I will still say, if the only problem you have, or if the biggest problem you have with a person is that y'all just don't agree on a couple of subject matters, that's still a blessing in itself. Because, you know, so many people and friends and even family members, people be so grimy with each other, you know what I'm saying? And so I don't think that in the grand scheme of things, they all right. They'll be all right. So that was episode 5. They actually left off of episode 5 with the ladies having their dinner. So yeah. So it's probably going to open up in episode 6, which I won't be back for episode 6. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that shit, y'all. Okay, so that's all I got for episode 5, y'all. It's your girl, the Benjamin B. I'm gonna go find me something else to watch on TV. Bye.